Hey guys, we want to welcome you. Sorry for the delay, some last minute technical issues. I'm not sure what has happened. But we want to welcome you guys as we bring another R&B podcast as we go through one of the most underrated albums of the 90s. But anyway, before we do that, let me introduce it used to be DJ Stevie Street, but I see that we've got Mr. Stevie Smooth tonight. How are you doing?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, all. How you all doing this evening? Great to see you all, as usual.
Okay, Stevie Smooth. It's a new look, and it seems to fit you. Miss J, how are you doing?
Howdy. Hot. It's hot.
Okay, you're feeling hot. Okay.
The weather's finally coming up. Like it's been cloudy and rainy all week until now. So finally got a hot day.
Okay. Okay. We've got a number of our community friends joining us already. River Mandela, Derek from Minneapolis. We've got Joseph and Mr. and Mike. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Melodic, welcome as well. It has been on constantly hot, but that shouldn't stop us from talking about a very hot album. Hey, so VJ's in the house. Stevie Smooth is looking sharp. Okay. Um, so Joe's All That I Am. It was a difference from when he came out with um I've just forgotten the debut album. What was the
All
debut
that I
album?
am,
I'm in love.
1997. Oh,
Before that.
No, his debut album.
1993 Mercury.
Yeah, no, the debut album was I'm in Love. Yes.
Yeah.
No, everything from the debut album was everything, and he switched labels and switched sounds. But what, hello, Timmy Lee. What were your thoughts of first Joe when we heard him? I'm in Love and the whole type of New Jack kind of introduction to this Joe that we saw on All That I Am. Because that was you, Stevie. Then I go to Miss J.
Well, we had the first single, I'm in Love, which back in 93 was a huge summer swing jam, especially in the UK. And then we had The One For Me, which was another big swing jam. Then we had the album, which, a lot of the R&B collectors absolutely loved it. Then we got All or Nothing, and you're thinking, wow, who is this guy, Joe? But yeah, I thought it was a great debut. I know there was stories about the management situation. I think he got married to the manager or something, and it all went a bit pear-shaped, and that delayed his career for 3 or 4 years. That's why we didn't get All That I Am until 4 years later and a new label. But I thought it was a great start. Maybe Mercury wasn't the label to push him to his full potential, but if you've not heard that debut, I would recommend it. It's a great R&B swing album. Lots on it to get into.
Okay, yes. Miss J, what were your thoughts of Joe when he first came out, and then before we get to this new album?
So I was very young when he first came out, so we didn't really actually hear him on the radio that much here. So until years later, to me, my first introduction was really like All That I Am album. So I do know some of the the first album, but it really, when he first came out, it wasn't a thing for me. I was introduced to all the things your man won't do, Joe. So to me, when I first heard that, I was like, who is this? Who is this? So it was a new person.
Yeah, I mean,
what did you?
Yeah, I think when
what did you think about it?
Yeah, so when he came out with I remember when he came out with I'm in Love and Round and Round I Go. It was his New Jack stuff, but it also at the same time we had R. Kelly and Public Announcement doing Vibe. So in a way, it felt like, oh, here's another copycat of Aaron Hall, trying to come up with that type of vibe. And he came and he disappeared. Now, when he came out with this album, the All That I Am, and the very first single we heard, All the Things You Might Want to Do, it was on a soundtrack, and this was of a movie called "Don't Be a Menace to Society While Drinking Gin and Juice in the Hood." So it was a crazy film, had an amazing soundtrack, and this really, a nice slow burner song that just sort of crept in, and it was almost like, okay, this guy is much different. And I was surprised how well the album was. I mean, it just started with bang after bang after bang. So, but I think one of the challenges I thought Joe had was R. Kelly was so dominant, and anyone else that could sing, write, and produce always kind of came in under his shadow. Same with Advance. But Joe has really set the stage, kept longevity, and he even collaborated with R. Kelly, doing what Aaron probably should have done, was to say, "Hey man, if this is who they're comparing me with, might as well do something with him." And so, but Joe still was able to make his own mark. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Everyone's talking. Yeah. Joe's album was a classic. Yeah. That's "Don't Be a Menace." It was an amazing film. It was a funny film, but it was a beautiful song to start off with, because not many people did that. Start off with a slow jam. They come out with something hot, fast, and I think that was sort of the turn where people just put out music and let it simmer. Yes. How hard was it for both of you going through this album and sort of 11 or 12 songs? I mean, one was a sort of an unplugged version, but to put them in order, how tough and challenging was it?
Well, go ahead.
I think for me, there was 3 outstanding songs on it. I'll say that.
Okay. Jay, what about yourself?
It was a lot of beautiful songs on the album, but there are 4 that were hard to rate from like to number 1. Like any 4 of these songs could be number 1, but so I had to like change it a couple times because they're just amazing.
Yes, I do think like the first, it just I've never had an album that just starts off with the first 5 singles and like, wow, and then it's almost as if this is illegal. I'm surprised the album didn't sell. It's officially recorded as selling just under 2 million, and I'm really surprised about that.
That's the good for an R&B album. Good sales.
Not necessarily. I mean, 2 million. I mean, going platinum is
debut, innit?
It was generally,
it's a debut, and I never saw Jive in.
No, sophomore second album
in the 90s as a major label. They were just below a major label until the early 2000s when they got signed by RCA and they took control. I always saw Jive as like this independent acting as a major, but I thought 2 million for a debut is good, very good.
No, remember, it's not his debut. We're talking about I'm
yeah,
All That I Am.
I'm talking about Jive. This was his debut for Jive, not Mercury. So
okay, debut.
Yeah, and I never saw Jive at that time as a real powerhouse major label. It wasn't in. It was like indie. It was in the middle. So I thought, but it was a great start. It was a great start.
Yeah. Anyway, but as I said, for the kind of firepower that the singles had. Now, and I'm looking back at it now, and I'm just checking with the singles. The only single that really did it, that charted, was "I Don't Want to Be a Player," which was number 21 on the Billboard charts and number 5 on the R&B charts. But all the other ones, "Good Girls" and "All That I Am" and stuff, none of them charted on the Billboard charts. Which is very surprising.
Right, you're referring to the pop chart or the R&B? Because there's no.
So it's both of them.
There's no real pop records on this album. It's a straight R&B album. So how did it do on the R&B? How did it do on the R&B?
Yeah, so it's both. So I've got both charts side by side. So All the Things You Might Want to Do got to number 11 on Billboard 100, but got to number 2 on the R&B charts. And Don't Want to Be a Player got to number 21 on the Billboard 100. and number 5 on the R&B charts.
Good.
But Love Scene, Good Girls, and All That I Am, none of those charted. And I think, and this is something that when I interviewed Rab for the first time, he mentioned that Joe was asked if he wanted to be part of 911, and this was just before he released his album on Mercury. And when during the sort of hiatus before he got his deal with Jive, there was a consideration he could have been Rab, Mucho, and Joe in 911, but he had just got things signed up and he turned them down. But anyway, he was on the same label with R. Kelly, which was probably a challenge at the time, because if Jive wasn't before they got bought by BMG, Sony, trying to push the same, a male R&B artist to the same market probably was a challenge. Did you feel that Joe in those early 90s, when he came out in 97 with this album, was he able to cut through the dominance of R. Kelly?
I feel like he wasn't really promoted. Like, as a Joe fan, because that first song from the soundtrack, I remember being young and us girls talking about it because we were crazy about the song, and I wanted to know what he looked like. I'm like, what does this man look like? We didn't even know what he looked like. I remember we were all like, he sounds so beautiful. One girl, I'm sure he's gorgeous, but we didn't know. And when we finally saw the video, we were like, oh, finally. But it took a while before we got to see what he looked like. Being young, we didn't know. We didn't see him a lot on BET or MTV or anything being promoted really, or even on radio. We didn't really hear about him until we finally saw the video. So to me, I feel like he wasn't promoted enough visually. But we sure did.
How about here in the UK? I mean, was he promoted as much as when he came out with I'm in Love?
You got to remember, R. Kelly by 97 was a proven hit maker, producer, songwriter. He had 3 albums under his belt for Jive. He's the priority act. So Joe coming along, it's like it's starting afresh. It always was going to be tough. Did he get promoted in the UK, Joe? Of course he did. He got promoted. I seen the promo records everywhere. The albums were out in the stores. I mean, in terms of promotion, again, Jive was limited. It wasn't. I didn't see it as a powerhouse major label. They were promoting Britney Spears. They were promoting R. Kelly. So that's where all the money was going. And probably
Backstreet Boys as well.
Yeah, Backstreet. Joe might have been signed as a tax loss because they, if they're making millions out of R. Kelly and Britney and they've got, when they're sending the tax receipts in April and they've got to lose some money, they think, well, we'll probably lose it with Joe. Could be, I don't know, but he might have been a tax loss signing. I've seen Joe complain that he wasn't promoted enough, but why join a label that's got R. Kelly signed? You're up against it straight away. Go to another label where they haven't got a priority R&B act.
Yeah, but what happened with Mercury? So that was the label that Gina Thompson as well as Brad McKnight and Mercury were folded around that mid-90s, 96. So all the acts had to find they folded. So all the acts had to find a new home, and so it's who's MCA was packed with artists, so there weren't that many places to call home. So he definitely found a place in Jive, which, as I said, longevity there. 97, just before we get into the countdown, 97. They released the Booty Call soundtrack, Mystical's Unforgettable, and they had the Tupac Are You Still Down album, and Backstreet Boys, Backstreet's Back. And so and then the R. Kelly double CD came out in 98, and the R album, and then Tribe Called Quest. So it felt as if, they, as you said, small labels can make a massive difference, but they count as well.
I mean, there's a comment there from Melodic saying, I see there was some articles regarding R. Kelly trying to sabotage Joe's career. I remember those. And I remember thinking, hold on a minute, R. Kelly's making records with Celine Dion. doesn't get any bigger than that. Why would he be interested in sabotaging Joe's career? You know, Joe was no threat to R. Kelly. You know, let's get that right. He was no threat whatsoever to R. Kelly. R. Kelly, gosh, he had his own studio. He could have had a label if he wanted to. He was that big.
Well, he did. Yeah, but Joe also
No
was
threat.
known for
No threat
doing.
to Joe was no threat
Yeah.
to R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he
Okay.
didn't feel that way though.
So, was
It
that?
doesn't mean he didn't feel that way because Joe was amazing. Joe is amazing.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where somebody might not be as they might to the public might seem as if he's no threat, but if somebody says he's really good, you may not want him to actually get too good, especially if you're on the same label.
Mm-hmm.
So so it's different. But anyway, let us Hopeful's here, Marco's here as well. So okay, well, let's go into Timmy Lee. Let's get into this album. It starts really well, and it's just amazing. As I said, I would give this, even before we start, I'll probably give this an 8 out of 10. And I don't think I'd listened to the album in a long time. And so when I listened to it, I'm like, what? He had this. I was just like, almost, this doesn't make sense it's almost like it was greatest hits album, which all the hits were on it. That's how it felt when I started listening to it. It slows down towards the end and stuff, but it really 5 + 5 + 5 and stuff like that. So, see, for the sake of it, I mean, there are 12 songs on there, even though one of them, the No One Else Comes Close, was just an unplugged version. But we might as well, start off from 12 down to 1 because it's just 2 tracks on there. So, Stevie, do you want to kick us off with what you?
Well, I might as well say 12 and 11 are the same song. I've got No One Else Comes Close unplugged at 12, and I've got No One Else Comes Close, the album version, at number 11. I've stated on this podcast before, I'm not a big fan of unplugged versions. I always like a beat and a groove in an R&B record. There is a place for stripping back songs and just singing them with a guitar. But I'll leave that to the the indie pop artists. They do, So No One Else Comes Close is at the tail end of my chart.
Okay, you got the Miss J. What's your number 11, and then what's your number 12?
For me, you can't have 11 and 12 because it's really just one song. But I'll say the one I left off top 10 is Sanctified Girl. I left off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's strange enough. So everyone say yellow card. So like Stevie, No One Else Comes Close. The Unplugged was number 12, and the No One Else Comes Close, the original one came in at number 11. Hey, John, how you doing? He says he's got all his CDs and stuff. John from Truth, welcome, John. And I'll tell you the reason why I put No One Else Comes Close. I'm going to sound like Stevie here, but I'm not a big fan of the sort of David Foster type of songs. It's bring out the candlelights, playing by the piano, and when I listen to that kind of song, it doesn't sound R&B. It sounds poppy kind of stuff, and so I just switch off and nod off. And so it's a nice, beautiful song, but it's not my type of tea. So both of those tracks did not make my top 10. So Stevie, for once, we kind of agreed with that. Yeah. But John says Sanctified Girl is No One Else Comes Close is really dope too. It's a dope album, but if we're ranking them, we do have to have some that doesn't come in as that would fit just fall out. Okay, so number 10, Stevie. Let's see what would have been a number 10 for you.
Well, I will say to all you good girls out there tonight, I'm bringing All That I Am to you this evening at number 10. All That I Am. And I will say I can do all the things your man won't do.
So number 10 is what?
It's
All That I Am. Okay. Yeah, I actually thought that was it was similar, but it feels a little bit different.
It's very, very, very bland at best. Very, very candle lit. Very, bring the candles out again.
Okay. Miss J, what made your number 10?
My number
so people
10.
could come around.
My number 10 is one of his up tempo, like a mid tempo song. But the way he speaks, he kind of sings it. For some reason, I'm feeling like Michael Jackson inspired it. But You Should Have Told Me You Have a Man. You should have how he talks it. Yeah, it's number 10. I'm into his love songs. Yeah. Good story, good storytelling, and I love that. I thought about Michael when he was singing it, but when you compare it to the other songs, You Should Have Told Me You Had a Man. Come on.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a strange one. Yeah. So number 10 for me is it was a nice little slow jam, but where did I visit? Yeah, Love Don't Make No Sense. What's the point of it? Yeah, it's a nice song. But I had 9 other songs that I definitely appreciated better than this. Love Don't Make No Sense. Yeah, I put that number 10. Because I went through it. So I mean, as I said, the top 5 were sort of the easy. Well, not the top 5 were the easiest to put in. Here's the top 5. Putting them in order was the hardest part. So any one of my 3 to 4 could have been one. But the 6 to 10, that's where I sort of, least favorite, and Love Don't Make No Sense was probably at number 10 for me. Yes, I think You Should Have Told Me would have been better with additional people saying, that's a very good thing that Joseph said about it. I think because that sounded more like a song that could be for a group. You should have told me. Yeah. But anyway, Stevie.
Number 9, got it's a very strong piano-led groove. It's one of the up-tempo tracks. What I liked about Joe albums, he always, he'd always put a few up-tempos on an album. That goes back to his debut. Keith Sweat always did that. I thought it's always important for R&B artists to do that, mix it up a bit. So Sanctified Girl, which was very piano-led, Can't Fight It, made a good B-side. One of the singles, actually. Number 9 for me. I do like that record.
Can't fight this thing. Yeah. No, I think I rated that slightly higher. Okay. Let's say, what was your number? What was your number 9?
Now remember, I love him for his love songs. So number 9 would be a faster song again. It's Come Around.
Okay. And where was that?
It just didn't get me like it didn't, the flow of it. I didn't like it. I think when I first heard Joe, because it was like a love song that got me, I just love him as a lover, not like I love the love songs. I want to hear that. So this song has a lot of love songs on it, so yeah. I wanted to stay in that lane, and then this just didn't keep me in that lane. So that's the only reason why.
There were elements of it was also my number 9, but there were elements of Tevin Campbell's Round and Round. It just reminded me of the one that reminded me of it. I did think, and as I said, I think I don't know who sequenced the album, but when you front load with the bangers. It then means that if you and as you're sort of wear it out. If you'd mixed some of the hot songs around, I think it might have made the album feel a lot more manageable. But it's almost like the first 5 or 6 songs, you're like, wow, this is amazing.
Right.
And then it kind of slows down. I think they just didn't, they front loaded the album and stuff. But yeah, so that was also my number 9. Come Around was my number 9. But as I said, a nice track, but there were others much better there. Number 8, Stevie.
This was a CD that I played a lot throughout 97 and 98. There's only 2 tracks that I didn't really play a lot, and those were in my 11 and 10. But the rest of the album, I played it all the way through. I thought they were all really good songs. Number 8, I've gone for Come Around, and the other up-tempo track. Again,
Okay.
solid up-tempo. Obviously, the ballads stand out on this album. I think we all agree on that, but still a good groover, a good track to get down to. So, like I say, number 8,
Okay.
Come Around.
Come Around. Okay. Miss J, what's number 8 for you?
One of them that you guys already said, No One Else Comes Close. So beautiful, but like you said, I don't care what you say about that. I don't care if it's David Foster Candlelit. I love it still, but compared to the other songs, I would have to put it at number 8.
Yeah, I don't know. There was something about, for me personally, there was something about these type of songs that I think that they were trying to reach a pop market by releasing them. Now, the only person, Whitney could easily go back and forth.
Right.
But Toni Braxton was great when she did "On Break My Heart," and I could relate to that, because she got Dave Foster and Diane Warren to write it the way it should be written. And I think if you're not going to get the guys like David and Diane Warren to do the track for you, then I think it's sometimes a poor imitation. I like what 112 did when they couldn't afford Babyface to do a track, so they wrote Cupid as though Babyface wrote it. So they listened to When Will I See You Smile? Is it When Will I See You Again? And then they wrote Cupid based on that, and it was but they mirrored it from a Face kind of track. I think when you're trying to do No One Else Comes Close, yeah. But anyway, that said, number 8 for me was All That I Am Is a Man Who's it would have been as low as much lower, but I think it grew on me listening to it a couple of times. I kind of warmed to it, but the first time I would have skipped it, but I listened to the album quite a bit. And maybe because it's the title track, I just gave it a little bit more chance. And so it snuck up to number 8 on my list. And he didn't even write that one, because he wrote most of his stuff, but he didn't write that one. Yeah. All That I Am for number 8 for me. All right. Number 7. Stevie.
Number 7. I'm not sure if this was the same funk sample as what En Vogue used in My Loving, but You Should Have Told Me You Had a Man. That James Brown, like, I'm not too. This is very similar, but I think this could have been a single. Maybe give it another remix, an extended mix. But definitely my favorite up tempo off the album. Thought it was the song was very strong. I really enjoyed that track. I used to play it early doors as a warm-up track in the clubs. Always sounded good. But yeah, solid track. Like I say, shame it was a single.
I know R. Kelly used it for one of his tracks on the R album.
I've got to say thanks actually to M-Mac, who's tuned in, who he sourced the sample. I've been playing this track on my radio show by this young lady called Genevieve, called Head Over Heels, which has got this rare groove sample in it, which is just blowing my head away at the moment. and I couldn't figure out what they were sampling, and he sent me a YouTube link today to the Tom Brown sample that she's using. Thank you, sir, for that.
Okay.
Made my day, and I'm gonna dig out my Tom Brown album now and play that record. But yeah, thanks for listening to my show, sir. That was my last show on Saturday, so appreciate you tuning in for the last 6 months. Thank you very much.
Okay, I mean that's it. So are you back to your normal schedule?
I don't know. The guy who was covering, he's back. He's come back after a 6-month break, so we'll see whether I move to a different time or I take a bit of a hiatus. You know, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Guys, so the your number 7 was, what was it? You should have told me. It has the James Brown sample.
I'm assuming it's James Brown. It sounds like a James, but I'm thinking of like if you was to like see what En Vogue sampled on My Lovin', You're Never Gonna Get It. Does sound very similar, that.
Yes. Does anyone know R. Kelly on his double CD had a track that sampled that same sample? I don't
Which
know
one
if
is
it's
the R album.
The R album. He used something similar. He used the same sample on one of his tracks. Does anyone know?
I can't remember. I'll have to listen to it again.
Oh no, maybe it wasn't the R album. Maybe it was the one before the. So if anyone can listen to the, that's the Big Payback song, but R. Kelly sampled it on one of his albums, either the R album or the one that came just before the R album.
I think the one
on the
I'm
R. Kelly
referring to there, but it wasn't. I don't think it was the Payback, but it sounds very similar.
But that was the general sample. So when we go back to maybe he had, if Joe had it first and he sampled it thereafter, or Joe used that sample after R. Kelly, I can then imagine where he's like, what's this guy trying to do? But you should have told me. If I didn't, I should have remembered. So I know that R. Kelly used it from one of his tracks. But anyway, I'm sure somebody listening will put it in there. So Miss J, what is your numbers? Is it 7?
It's a track title that I agree with. Love Don't Make No Sense. Love Don't Make No Sense for number 7. I love the song though. It's a great tune. I'm surprised you guys had it high, like you didn't like it as much, but there's so many good songs on here.
Yeah. It's it was slower. It was a little bit slow, but yeah, it was definitely not a bad album song. It's an amazing album, but like in anything, you've got to place songs somewhere. But yes, so that's your number 7. My head is scratching just trying to get this out, but Sanctified Girl is my number 7. And that one, actually, let me try and remember that one a little bit, because that just reminded me of it reminded me of a 12 play, a 112 type of a song. But I also thought that this was one of those tracks that if he had, it felt like a group song as well. It just didn't seem to just go. It felt to me that if he was in a group, this would have been a much powerful song, because it felt like it was for a group. But yeah, that was number 7 for me, Sanctified Girl. All right, we get into our number 6. I'm surprised no one has remembered the R. Kelly track that uses that. You should have told me. What is that? Okay, I'm gonna have to find it myself. But anyway, Stevie, you know what? When something
Google, what does En Vogue My Lovin' sample?
Okay,
And that should answer the whole question there.
I didn't hear a similarity between our songs. So.
It is it's the R. Kelly album, I believe. Thank goodness for it. Oh no, okay. Download. I can't sleep. Oh no, I'm I hate the fact that this is big. Anyway. um. Okay, I'm gonna have to go the hard way. All right. So, what about you, Stevie? What's this?
Number 6. It's all ballads from now on, and we got some top draw songs on these ballads. Excellent songwriting. I've gone for Love Don't Make No Sense at number 6. Very hard to put these in order, these ballads, because they're all just great. I mean, Love Don't Make No Sense. If you look at love in general and all the emotions you feel with love, from like the good, the positive side of it, the joyful feeling of love, and then you look at the negative, bad side of it, where you're feeling jealousy and envy and confusion. Love doesn't make no sense. Why do you, for such a strong feeling, why do you feel all these different kind of emotions? Love doesn't make no sense. Sums it up.
So, just so love don't make no sense. Okay, I had a number 10. Now, I'm glad these Chris and Timmy Lee came through with the answer. So, R. Kelly's Humpty Bounce, which was released in '95, and yes. So R. Kelly's Humpty Bounce, which was released in number 5 in '95, had the same beat of Joe's "You Should Have Told Me." The same. So
right, you got that out of your system now, Nancy.
No, well,
are we going to move on now?
Getting it out of the system. No. Getting it out of the system is one thing, but knowing why R. Kelly would have heard it and thought, "What's the deal? Why is this guy biting my style?" And so, I can now understand.
I don't believe all R. Kelly Joe nonsense. Just
it wouldn't surprise
don't buy
me
into it whatsoever.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. If you want to stay on top, you don't want anyone coming close.
R. Kelly was always on top. Anyway. He's always on top. Like Liverpool and Man City are. They're always on top.
Okay. Trying to sweeten the deal there. Okay. Miss J. So Stevie had Love Don't Make No Sense. What did you get for number 6?
Number 6 is from a teddy bear, written by a teddy bear from Cleveland, Gerald Levert. That is How Soon. And you can hear him all over it. I love it. And then Joe does his signature sound. This how everyone has a signature, like Prince has a scream, Michael has hee, Shimon. Joe has and I love it. Nobody does like Joe. And he does it in this song. And I love it. So I love it. Y'all notice that?
Okay, no, I didn't realize that was his.
Yes.
I mean, is that okay? I didn't realize that. Okay.
Just for every song.
Okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, my number 6 was the R. Kelly ripoff, which is "You Should Have Told Me You Had a Man," and yeah. So that was no wonder I kind of liked the song and I put it at number 6. I was like, this sounds very familiar, and I say, thanks, for you guys for bringing it up. But if you do listen to the song on the R. Kelly album, it will hit you there. So back to my number 6 because it felt familiar and it felt good to me. You Should Have Told Me You Had a Man. But Joe Thomas co-wrote it, but it was produced by somebody else. Yes. Okay. We're now into the top 5. Probably I would have thought the easiest top 5 to put down but the hardest to put in order.
Mm-hmm.
So Stevie, what made your number 5 for you?
The Gerald Levert produced, was it written? I'll have to check the credits again, but How Soon for me at number 5.
Yes, he wrote it. Yeah.
Great chorus, just
Mhm.
draws you right in. I mean, it's a bit of a slow build up to it. And that's probably why it wasn't as high up in my top 3. But there's no fronting on that chorus. It's an absolute killer.
Yeah. It's I think people might forget how much of a, we think about um, not spread my wings, Mamacita, and some of the stuff that Levert did for Troop, some of the stuff that they did for their own albums. But when Gerald did the ballads and the slow jams and stuff, you know, one of my favorite Gerald Levert songs that he wrote and produced is Answering Service. That was, I don't know if you guys have heard Answering Service, talking to your answering service.
Mm.
Yeah, he's just an amazing songwriter, producer, and stuff like that. So, yes, definitely. How Soon? Okay, that's Stevie's number 5. So he got into his top 5, which is a good one. What about you, Miss J?
So me and Timmy Lee, we love to agree. It seems like his number 5 is my number 5, and you guys did not. You guys already mentioned it. All That I Am. He
The man.
he sounds so beautiful. Oh my God. Oh, I don't see how. I mean, it's a beautiful song. Joe, amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a nice, beautiful. As I said, so we've got to always remember it's a beautiful album, but what we're just doing is putting these songs in order, and that's never a bad thing. Yeah, never a bad thing. But Gerald, yeah. For my number 5, I would also go with Stevie. How Soon? Planes, Trains, Automobiles. I remember the film, but it was, it was just a beautiful song. And I'm looking at Gerald Levert, and I said, man, this guy has something, had something when he came to the pen game and the production and stuff like that. But I also appreciate Joe being able to say, look, even though you can write and produce, and he did a lot for other people, that he knows when to just say, yeah, you can do it better than me. I'm gonna sing your song. And he did sing it beautifully. So How Soon is my number 5. Yes, it does now. It's when it gets hard, as Timmy Lee says.
Yes.
Yes. So Stevie,
My number
what's your number
4
4?
is, I would describe this as a perfect date night type song. You could take your date to a film that you both want to see, and you come out the film that's, hopefully it's good, and you've got something then to go to a lounge to and have a talk about it, have a nice meal, have a drink. The lounge might be playing some music. You could serenade her on the dance floor, give her a little dance after you've fed her, and give her a little moves around the dance floor, and then the night is still young. After that you could take her somewhere, back to your place, whatever. Have the room prepared, some nice snacks, some drinks, get the music, the candlelit going on, get the love scene playing in the background,
Oh, okay. Okay.
keep it smooth.
So Stevie went for Love Scene at number 4 for him. Yes. Okay. That was oh goodness, was that the one that said 69 was a very good year?
Say that again.
No, it wasn't that one.
Yes, was it?
69 was a very good.
Yeah, it was a very good year.
Yeah. No, that was definitely and it starts off with him doing his little scream.
Take
Yeah,
one.
just yeah.
It's amazing. That sounds like a siren. What was that?
baby? So he starts off with the Ron Isley. Yeah, he starts off with the Ron Isley. Yeah, he starts off with take one. Yeah, it's he starts. I'm just listening to it and thinking, yeah, that was it. That was it. So yeah, he starts off very Ron Isley with it, but he gets steps into his own room. All right, Miss
But
J.
you said Ron Isley. I thought Prince. I thought it was very Prince. You know, the intro. I'm not gonna do what you just did though.
No. Yeah. Okay, so what did you put out as your number 4?
I actually had to flip flop it because I changed this. So I one of my favorites, but I put it at 4. And don't want to be a player. Don't want to be a player no more. I had to change it. I love that song though, but there's moments in other songs that maybe put that at number 4.
Okay. Yeah. It's I think I think when you get to from 5 to 1, I think most of us would have just I mean, I think from 4 to 1, I probably could have switched them around. I wouldn't have made much of a difference. That's how much I rated those first 5 tracks. But like Stevie, I think Love Scene was that's my number 4 as well. It was yeah, just a beautiful description of what he was trying to do, and the elegance of it. It's an amazing, as I said, it's just amazing how you start an album and you just go for track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4, 5, and I'm like, okay, this is too much, and I think they could have mixed it around, and I would have probably appreciated the whole album. So Love Scene's is number 4 for me. Okay. Down to the top 3, down to the top 3, down to the top 3. So, Steve, what made number 3 for you?
I can't justify this being at number 3 only because the 3 tracks that I've got left on different days are all number 1. Right. Exceptionally strong tracks. There used to be, I don't know if anyone saw it, maybe some of you saw it back about 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. There's a US program called Cheaters, and there'd be a guy, a narrator, and a presenter, and they get some story about, say, some woman who'd been cheated on, so they get all the facts about the case and then try and set up the scenario where they catch the guy cheating. And you'd follow this show all the way through to the penultimate moment where they'd somehow, it'd be a motel or something, and they'd park the van outside, and the door would open, and you'd catch some, some guy cheating on his missus, doing all the things a man wouldn't do. You know what I mean? It's all there. On the Cheaters program, great program. Or it could be the other way around: the girl cheating on the guy. And the girl getting all the things her man wouldn't do, because that song really, if you break it down, as great it is a cheater's charter. It's about cheating. Joe talking about he's going to do to you what your man won't do, and what is he talking about? It's human nature, the birds and the bees. He's going to do a set of things that, and I'll stop there. Because obviously I don't want the keyboard warriors coming after me, telling me that saying this and that. So I'll stop there. All you think man won't do is at number 3 for me. Great record.
But I think it seems like it's easy to talk to somebody who feels as if they're not being satisfied and says, yeah, look, I'll do better. Just give me a chance, and I'll all the things your man won't do. Yeah, it's like being an uncle or so. You can have your nieces and nephews for a couple of hours, and then you send them back home. But you can be a great uncle for a short period of time, but you won't be being there long term. And so Yeah,
You know,
I think
let's break it down. Why does a woman cheat on a man? I mean,
Oh
it's a
Lord.
cardinal sin. It's a cardinal sin. But why does this happen? And usually it's down to things like attention. You're not paying enough attention. I'm not just going to mention, you know, the obvious thing, but if you're not doing a set of things right, that woman's feeling unloved, or you know, I could go a lot deeper here, which I won't. Then if some other guy comes along that's doing all them, paying her that attention, you know, and women are they're good at cheating, they're exceptionally good at it. So, but on the flip, why does a guy cheat? It's usually because, you know, he likes a lot of sex. He can't keep it. Can't hold it down. The eye's wondering. That's why he cheats.
yeah,
He might have a great woman at home.
yeah.
He might be doing all, and it's true. She might be doing all the things right, keeping him happy, but he still, unfortunately, he can't help himself. You know, so that's the way it is.
I guess one of the things that we did look, who was telling me this? Donnell was saying that what you got in the '90s were artists, R&B artists, writing love songs differently. So you may have somebody like a Joe saying, "Yeah, anything what you're not getting at home, don't worry, I'll do it for you." And you may have somebody who's like a Maxwell singing something different, and you just appreciate the variety of the songs
Well,
and
like you
stuff.
say,
Um,
all those successful male R&B singers probably had women at home. They were out touring, and you know they had probably multiple opportunities to cheat, to do all the things your man won't do. You know, it's the way it is.
Marco said this has just turned into Jay Springer. Okay, so you had all the things a man won't do at number three,
Top
and
to put there. Great record. Great record.
yes, it's really yes, it's and that was definitely a great record. So, Miss J, what made number three for you?
Starts off beautiful, of course. Sunshine from the moment that we met. Good girls. There's moments in that this it could have
Okay,
been number one, but it's just so many elements. You know, if you know the song, it's just there's so many songs you want to just there's part of the songs you want to sing over and over again. You know, it's just a great song. Good girls. I can't sing
mm.
like Joe, so I don't want to sit up here and embarrass myself or sound like a
but
saint.
but then look at the contrast um, of singing "Good Girls" and then all the things your man won't do, and then don't want to be a player. It's and you'd think the one person that we can always rely on to be consistent was Ralph Tresvant. He's always singing about being a heartbreaker and being sensitive, but whether he's stone cold or he is if it is in love or stuff like that. But with this album, you've got Joe singing from three different perspectives. So he went from all the things to good girls, looking for good girls. But but beautiful song, good choice. Number three. Oh yeah. So this was. I can't believe he was just turned 17 when he worked on this track. And he did say that the one thing that he did when he was on working with this track was he met his long-term writing partner, LaShawn Daniels, who sadly passed away, while presenting this track to Joe. Um, when he first met, and you can hear the Teddy Riley influence on the track, and it's "Don't Want to Be a Player," and it gave it. Big Pun gave it a second lease of life when he got Joe to sing on the hook when he brought it out. But it was beautiful song, um, you know, beautiful sort of direction, beautiful sense of I've lived the old life, I want to change and stuff like that, and which was admirable. Maybe he's ready to settle down. So number three for me, Don't Want to Be a Player. Beautiful track, beautiful direction. I think it actually did. I'm just looking at it's probably one of his best placed songs at the time. Yes. Anyway, Stevie, we've
What
got two
number two,
tracks.
it's very tough. Normally, I have a defined number one. These two tracks that are left, one of them goes back to my clubbing days when I was between like age 20 to 25, where I learned a lot. I learned a lot about women, especially, and the other track, you can hear the pain in his voice. There's a certain pain the way he's singing it and what he's singing about, and I don't know which to put at number two and number one. It's really, really tough. But I've got to make a decision because nobody likes indecisiveness. So I'm going to save my memories for number one. And I'm going to change it because this was at number one. I'm going to put it back to number two. So I'm going to go for Good Girls at number two. You can, like I say, it's an incredible record. Why are all the good girls taken every time? Singing about the pain. But I actually think it's a good thing. Looking back, it's a good thing that the good girls are taken. Because you want the good girls to be taken. We don't want the bad girls. No, we don't want the bad girls to be taken because you've seen a lot of men at the moment, bad girls divorcing men and taking half or a lot of what they've got or doing, or treating bad, So we want the good girls to be taken. It's important. So Good Girls for me is at number two.
Okay.
That was
Okay, Good
tough,
Girls are number
very
two.
tough.
Yeah, yeah. It's a tough one because they could have gone either way.
Totally.
Um, yeah, they could have gone either way. Miss J, what went number two for you?
So my number two did change. It was Don't Want to Be a Player, but it moved. I had to switch those two. So Love Scene. Love Scene is my number two. Mm. The build up.
Why was that?
It's a beautiful written song, beautifully written. I love how it starts off sounding more like Prince. I don't know about the Ozzy Brothers song you're talking about or the siren noise you were making, but the scenes, take one, take two, take three. That's beautiful, and then there's just so many elements that makes you want to sing along. Oh, Love Scene is number two. It's a beautiful song. I want to sing it right now, but I won't.
Okay. Yes. It at this stage it was hard for me. And I moved this around. I'm looking at my list here. I'm looking at how, as I said, from one to three, I could have placed them anywhere. But for number two, I'm going to go for what I've written down here, and it's All the Things Your Man Won't Do to You. It's I think it's probably one of his most enduring songs. It's just one of those songs where probably one of his most popular songs that people would always remember when you think of Joe. Of course, for All That I Am, and not All That I Am. I think My Name Is Joe had Stutter and had other tracks, but I think this was what really set him apart when this came out, and being on the soundtrack meant they got extra exposure. Speaking to the co-writer, co-producer Joshua Thompson, and I said, that part where he says, "I'll make you, that for your mama to scream." I won't stop until your mother scream. I'm thinking, okay, how the hell are you trying to talk to a girl about? Look, I can do anything. All the things your man won't do, but I won't stop until your mother is screaming. Like, is mom watching? I mean, it was, and he said he said that his mom was listening to the track, and he tried to cover over it to ask mom about the track, and he put it in there as a way of just adding some comic relief. which it did because it made it memorable. It's like when people listen to one of our Aaron Hall songs and they think, is he saying dumb bitch or dum dum diddy? They don't know what, you know. So it's one of those things where it just takes a life of its own when you listen to when you add this kind of stuff in there. So you do think, okay, well, what the hell? Your mother's screaming stuff, but it is just, you know, just even the mindset of, you know what, um, talking to somebody and understanding that they're missing out. And, you know, it's easy for those kind of guys to come in and pick up the pieces and then go along. They're not there for the long term. They're in the, you know, for short term. They say, oh, yeah, is this what he did? Oh, man, they listen and then they can come in, patch it up, and they're off again. So that's what the song was. An amazing track. All the things your man will do at number 2. Yes, it could have been my number 1, but it was just last minute switch around. Okay. Before we get to our number 1, Stevie, it'd be good just to recount what the other tracks that preceded your number 1 is before you explain why this was your number 1 track.
Okay, I'll go through this superb album again. 12 and 11 were No One Else Comes Close. Didn't really listen to that track much back then. Number 10, All That I Am. Again, honestly, being brutally honest, I didn't listen to it that much, but I'm not saying it's a bad track. I just didn't listen to it. Number 9 was Sanctified Girl. Number 8, Come Around. Number 7, You Should Have Told Me. Number 6, Love Don't Make No Sense. Number 5, How Soon. Number 4, The Love Scene. Number 3, All the Things Your Man Won't Do. Number 2, Don't Want to Be a Player. It wasn't number 2. It was number 2 was Good Girl. Sorry. So number
That's
1,
what I was going to say.
Number 1 for me, again, I'm going back to that period of my early 20s, and I've almost got the devil on here, and I've got the angel on here. I've got this side. This side is my morals of me wanting to meet a lady, settle down, get married, have children. You know, that beautiful thing that most good guys dream of doing and should do because it's important. But I had the devil on this side because I started going clubbing, seeing ladies for the first time in nightclubs because I'd lived quite a sheltered teenage upbringing till then because I was spending all my money on records. I couldn't go out. I couldn't afford to go out until I met a DJ friend who took me around the clubs, and I started seeing all these ladies, shall I say. And that's when I'm in a relationship that I thought was heading that way to that dream, it's now in question because I'm seeing this lady, that lady, this lady's interesting. I'm DJing, this lady wants to talk to me. So, you know, I'll advise any guys that are listening that early 20s, don't get into a relationship too young. Sort that devil out in you first. Get it out of your system. You know, don't do what I did. Try to chase that dream too early because you're not ready for it. Do it a bit later on. Have your fun. And then a bit later on, when you're more mature, that's the time to do it. So my number 1 is all about that song. My number 1 is Don't Want to Be a Player. Rodney Jerkins production, great song, vocoder, and just sums up my early 20s youth perfectly. That's got to be my number 1.
Now, being because I was in the US when this came out in '97, I just finished college or university, as we say in the UK. What was the reaction of this track in the UK when it did? I mean, did it?
I heard it, all the pirate radio stations were playing it. All the specialist R&B stations were playing it. The clubs would play it. You know, it did get club play in, say, the last half hour of a night, and people would dance to it. It was a big track.
Yeah. Did at this time were you into your music enough to know who the Rod Darkchild was? Or
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally.
Mm.
okay, okay. So they want to be a player at number one. Okay, I wonder, Miss J. What about you? Number you know you 12 down to one.
Well, I had
I saw your rollout.
11 because to
Go
me
ahead.
one is the same. So I'll say 11.
Okay, yeah, it was no different with no one else. Yeah, comes close. Yeah.
Sanctified Girl is my number 11. You Should Have Told Me You Had a Man, number 10. 9, Come Around. 8, No One Else Comes Close. 7, Love Don't Make No Sense. 6, How Soon. 5, All That I Am. 4, Don't Want to Be a Player. 3, Good Girls. 2, Love Scene. Mm. And then number 1, the song that made me fall in love with Joe. Baby, I wanna do all of the things your man won't do. Joe was stealing women from their men. So yeah.
As I said, I think it's quite easy to be able to do they had when I was a kid in the UK, they had this film that used to come out during Christmas. I don't know if Steve you remember it, The Scarlet Pimpernel.
Hmm.
So that's what it is. He was like one of those Robin Hood stuff. I think that's what that song was like. Yeah, I'll do all. He's gone out with his guys. No, I'll take care of you. Those kind of weasels who could try and sweet talk somebody else's woman and then go off again and stuff. So it's a really clever chess move to do. So when I say the song, I'm thinking, man, could you do that in the long term? You're just singing it now, kind of stuff. Keep those people away from your women. But
Now, say what that's called again. It's like you said, the Scarlet Pimp.
no, Pimpernel. Yeah, it's like it was like this guy who was he was a rich guy who then tried to be like a superhero at night. But
Oh.
yeah, but he was a smooth talker to women. So when I think of what Joe was trying to do here, is I'm going to do all the things. I'm like, well, he could be cheating. I mean, you know, what difference is this to Moke and Steph? He's mine. You may have had him once, but I have him all the time. Cheating song. But it's a beautiful song, nonetheless. So Miss J's song number one is All the Things. All right, all right. So for me, number 12 and 11, where no one else comes close, unplugged, an album version. You don't even notice the difference. It wasn't as if one was a cappella and stuff. I didn't even notice that there was a difference in it. I just felt, wait, I thought I just heard this song. Number 10 was Love Don't Make No Sense. Come Around was number 9. 8, All That I Am. 7, Sanctify Girl, Can't You Fight This Feeling. Number 6, You Should Have Told Me You Had a Man. The R. Kelly ripoff, Humpy. Number 5, okay, as I said, the top 5. This was Gerald Levert's amazing production and penmanship, How Soon. It should have been called, Planes, Trains, and Automobile, because that's pretty much what is. I always remember here in it. Number 4, I had Love Scenes. Um, yeah, it could have been number 2. It could have been number 1. Number 3 was Don't Want to Be a Player. Um, Definitely an amazing anthem song. Number 2 was All the Things Your Man Won't Do to You, and as I love ballads because they're more enduring. Um, but knowing the kind of person the guy was back in during my college days, um, a song like this really spoke to me. I wasn't a player like that. And so having a song that says, "Why are all the good girls taken every time? Why do I keep falling for someone else's dime? Every time love says hello, they say goodbye. So why all the good girls take it at a time?" There's got to be, he says, he's looking for a Roni in him, a Roni, I've got to believe there's a Roni for me somewhere. Oh, has anyone met a girl called Roni? Because Michael started singing about Roni and PYT. You had Bobby Brown doing Roni. You had Tevin Campbell singing Roni. And here's John, and here is Joe singing "There's Got to Be a Roni for Me somewhere in this world." Babyface did say that it was he heard it from PYT. Pardon?
Tenderoni, cute thing.
Yeah, but yeah, I was just I just wondered if somebody ever called their daughter Roni, But Good Girls is just such a beautiful track, just such a call for help. But it was a little amnesia, as I said. He's looking for a beautiful. But what is he saying here? He says, "Why are all the good girls taking it? Why do I keep falling for somebody else's dime?" I wonder what he means. Why does he fall for
A dime
somebody
is a
else?
10-piece. It's 10. She's a 10. She's gorgeous. 10.
So he's falling for somebody else's girl, and so he falls for
gorgeous.
somebody else's girl, and he then tells her, "I'm going to do all the things your man won't do for you," and he's going to set up a love scene for that. Although he's saying, "Look, I don't want to be a play no more, but I'm still going to do that." So, because that's who he is. But anyway, Good Girls was my number my number one, and I shifted because I think All the Things was probably leading the race. But for those who when we get these albums, what tends to happen is that for me particularly, I would listen to it twice at the beginning of the week, and then I won't listen to it again. Then after 3 days, I'll listen to it again, and then it will keep switching and changing. And especially this album, which I hadn't listened to it in maybe 20 years since since it first came out, and so to listen to it again, the songs changed around. So that was my list on this. It was good that we did this because initially I was thinking that we should have done this and his debut album together, but it turned out that actually this was much better just really focusing on this album. How would you rate this, Stevie, out of a 10?
It feels like an album from another era to me. I do feel that there is a certain movement with some artists in America at the moment are trying to bring this feel in R&B back. Like I'm going to shout Tiffany Evans. She's got an EP coming out. She's already released 2 tracks, which are incredible. We've got that feel in it. But yeah, it's from a different era. This the 90s where love and dating is still alive. We wasn't in the 90s. We weren't pitting men against women like this online thing that I'm seeing at the moment, where men and women are being pitted against one another for all sorts of ridiculous reasons. And we need this period to come back. It probably never will. It's a shame, but we need this to come back. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, just because of what it's about. It is about love. It is about dating, and that 90s love feel that is missing in today's society. So I'm going to give it a very high 9 out of 10. I think it's an exceptionally strong album. I know some of the guys, the candle in the air thing. I understand why the ladies like them, and that's why it's such. You've got to take that into consideration. So yeah, strong album, and we need more of that coming out.
Yeah, yeah. Miss J, how would you rate and rank this album?
I'm gonna give it a 9.5 because it's almost a 10. It's beautiful. I was in love with this album. So, yeah, they don't make them like this anymore. So,
yeah. I mean, we were talking 97, and probably we were losing our R&B to hip hop. Started to get a lot more placement, a lot more money poured into hip hop, and so we were getting less and less. But '97 was still definitely a good year, and not as good as '95 and '96, but still definitely a good year. And when I listened to this album, preparing for the show, as I said, I'm the first 5 or 6 tracks, I'm thinking there must be a mistake here. There's no how all these songs can be in one album, and even the ones that I ranked lowest, I had no issues with them. It wasn't like I didn't feel like they were album fillers. I felt like they took their time to create an amazing album, and so for me, um, I started off and I thought about an 8.5, um, and I probably would keep it at an 8.5. And the reason I said that is that I think if they had spaced some of the songs out, I think the first 5 songs were the strongest songs, and I think if they'd moved some of them around, so it didn't make it seem as if by the time you get to track 8, you're like, okay, it's good, but not as great. And I think if you had moved the songs around, you'd have just been able to appreciate it as a whole. Um, it's almost like having, it just felt like they took the burger out and you were eating the burger separately. Now you're eating the bun and eating eating the lettuce separately. And I think if you had just arranged it in the proper way, you could have had a nice bite of this album in a more digestible way. I don't know if that analogy made sense, but it did in my head. So it did in my head. So Melody gave it a 7. Marco, very hard to please. Marco always gave it a 7. And Maki gave it a 9. And Timmy Lee gave it an 8.5. Yes, let me just see who else. Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's definitely a great album, definitely a good choice, and we salute Joe. He's still touring. Joe doesn't do interviews. He does. So we've been trying to track
I
Joe
just
down for
remembered
5
one
years.
thing about this album, Namdi, that some of the more hardcore R&B collectors will remember. There was one unreleased track from this that actually got bootlegged on a 12-inch in the UK. It was called God's Work. Great record, great song. Just didn't fit the album. Didn't fit the album. I can understand why they left it off. But if you can YouTube that track, you'll be on YouTube somewhere. It's called God's Work. Great record. It's a shame it never made the album. It was on a sampler. It was on a CD Jive like sampler of like forthcoming tracks from forthcoming albums. But for some reason, and I reckon maybe because it wasn't a love song, maybe that's why they didn't put it on the album. But do check that track out.
Okay. Was it a ballad?
Yeah, bad mid-tempo, just a really strong track. I've got it on a 12 somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, cause I did see, and you said it was called Love Strong?
God's Work.
God's Work. No, it's not even on the Australian one or one of the mixes. Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely check that out. God's Work. God's Work. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've seen it. I've seen it here.
Giving away a little secret there. One of my many unreleased secrets slipped out there.
Okay.
I'll let a few out every now and again. Let a few out.
So, Faded Pictures, was that was
Oh yeah, with the Case, wasn't it? Case.
Joe has a sample.
Okay, but that was on a different album.
It was on Case's album.
I was on Case's album. What album was it that had that Case sang? What was that? I can see him in the desert singing.
I'll tell you what, that'd be a good album to do. That first Case album review.
Okay.
I'd like to go back and listen to that. I haven't listened to it for many years.
Yeah, what was that single, that big hit from Case? Not
Touch Me, Tease Me.
No, the ballad. It was written by Joe.
Is that the one?
Missing You. So Tim and Bob did it for Joe, and it turns out that the label they didn't really vibe to it. So Joe recorded it, I'm Missing You. It was supposed to be on his album. The label just said, no, we don't want it. So Def Soul heard it, Def Jam heard it, and said, can we record it for Case? Case records it, blows up. Then Jive says, hey, this was our single. So it blew up for Case here in the US, but they put the Joe's version internationally. And I think part of their makeup was to do faded pitches together. But that's label politics. They didn't think it was a good song until it became a hit, and then they tried to cry foul later on. But it's all love between everyone anyway. Anyway, so this was great. I can't imagine what we're gonna do, which next album we're gonna do. But this was definitely a great one. Stevie flies out to the US in a few days' time to go see. I've just seen LL Cool J promote the Rock the Bell concert and giving props to Eddie F and the Untouchables with the Uptown crew. Are you looking forward to
Very
the
much
trip?
so. Very much so. I've not had a break for a while, so I intend to make the most of it. It'd be great to see Andrew and VJ and his wife and Andrew's new fiance. Congratulations, sir. Mandeep's going, Renji's going. Anybody watching tonight want to say hello? Be in New York for 5 days. I can't wait.
Yes. They're going to be, and the show's going to be in the Prudential Center in New Jersey. And hopefully the guys would be able to do a report after the show and just give the report to talk about how the show went and what their favorite parts of it, and if they can get any interviews, that would also be great. But we'll keep that down. But Miss J and I will be back next week. We're not sure doing what, but we'll keep you guys guessing. And yes, just realize that we always appreciate you guys as you join in, as you keep with the chats. It keeps the show going. It's part of the whole thing as you debate your top 10. And that's the thing, is that it's very subjective, everything that we do. But it's all about celebrating. It's never about dissing anybody. And so, and then look out for July when we do Battle of the Producers Volume 3, the 3Ds, Jermaine Dupri, Dallas Austin, and Devontae Swing. We'll let you know when that comes out. But that would be our next Battle of the Producers on the New Jack Swing podcast as well. So, guys, have a good evening. Stevie, have a safe trip.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Yes, and Miss J, we'll catch up next weekend. And for the rest of you guys, we'll see you at a different time. So have a great week. Continue to celebrate the music, and we'll definitely see you. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that kind of.
And somewhere in between
us, or even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No. lucky.
They don't understand what Jodeci's voice means.
Play it.
And all these guys, they all work together.
I mean, I love all different genres.